Greetings, I hope everyone are doing good. Today in this video we are going to cover interplay of section 194J with in section 194. Yes, I am CIM Maalan Bharathi, and in this video we will see elaborately about the said topic, how the interplay happens between 194J and 194. Yes. Now, before going in, let us get to understand what is defined or what is precisely explained in section 194S and 194J first. So, let us see what is explained in 194S. So, what's the exact wording of section 194S? Any person responsible for paying to any resident any sum by way of consideration for transfer of a virtual digital asset. A very important thing, consideration for a transfer of a virtual digital asset shall at the time of credit of such sum to the accounts of the resident or at the time of payment of such sum by any mode, whichever is earlier. So the first one is either the credit or the payment, whichever is earlier. Deduct the amount equal to 1% of such sum as income tax thereon. So 1% has to be deducted as TDS under section 194S when there is a transfer of virtual digital asset. Now there may be two scenarios where the whole consideration may be in virtual digital asset. Scenario 2, where partly the payment can be made in cash and the other part where the payment can be made in kind. If at all it happens in any of the two said ways, that is way 1 whether wholly in virtual digital asset, second whether partly in case of virtual digital asset and partly in case of cash, the person who is making the payment has to make sure whatever way it has been made, the TDS has been deducted. For clarity, I will quickly repeat it one more time. Whatever the way, whether the virtual digital asset or the consideration is paid in cash or in kind, the payment, the person who is making the payment has to make sure that TDS has been deducted for that payment. Now, whether for all transaction do we have to deduct TDS? The answer is no. They have again classified it into two parts, specified person and other person. So if it's a specified person, then if the aggregate payment is less than 50,000, there is no need to deduct TDS under section 194. Yes. And if it all in case of the other persons, that is the persons other than specified person, then the aggregate turnover, that is the aggregate amount, the aggregate amount is, the limit is fixed as rupees 10,000. So specified person 50,000, where the transfer is within 50,000, no need to deduct TDS, and if the payment is more than 10,000 in case of any other person, then they have to deduct TDS. Now, what is this specified person? What is this specified person? So simply, specified person is an individual or HUF. First one, individual or HUF who doesn't have a income under the head PGPP. That is, they don't have any income from business. The second one is the individual or HUF who has business income, but the turnover is less than 1 crore in case of a non-professional, and the turnover is less than 50 lakhs in case of a professional. So again, who's a specified person? One, an individual or HUF who do not have a business income. Two, an individual or HUF who has a business income, but the turnover doesn't cross 1 crore in case of an individual, in case of an person who's not doing profession, and the turnover crosses 50 lakhs in case of a person who is into profession. And one more thing is where subsequently 194O applies, then they say that 190 person is required to deduct TDS only under section 194S and no need to deduct TDS under 194O. Now, let's see quickly what is 194J. 194 is very simple section where if you provide any professional service, then before making payment, 10% need to be deducted as a TDS for that amount. That in case where you pay some amount for technical service or for royalty, then the TDS need to be deducted at the rate of 2%. Again, 194J, where in case of a professional service, 10% has to be deducted as TDS. Otherwise, in case of technical or in case of you are paying some amount for royalty, then the amount of TDS is 2%. And within a year where the aggregate amount paid is less than 30,000, then no TDS is to be deducted under section 194J. And where an individual or HUF who doesn't have turnover more than 1 crore in case of a business and more than 50 lakhs in case of a profession during the previous year, then they no need to deduct TDS when they make such payments under this section. A very simple section. 30,000 as an aggregate payment, 10% need to be deducted as TDS in case of profession and 2% in case of technical or royalty fees. And the next one is in case of previous year where the turnover is 1 crore and where the turnover is 50 lakhs, no need to deduct TDS. Now, what does this term interplay means and why is it so significant? What does interplay says? Now, let us see the exact dictionary definition of this term interplay. The way in which two or more things have an effect on each other. The way in which two or more things have effect on each other. And what is interplay in tax? The same definition. When one section has an effect on other, to see which one prevails is interplay in income tax. For example, now we saw two sections 194J and 194S. While I was defining section 194S, I have told that wherever 194O also applies, they have specifically told in 194S that 194S prevails over and above 194O. That means person needs to deduct only TDS in section 194S and they no need to deduct TDS in section 194O. Now a government has given a clear clarification that TDS in one section is enough to be deducted. Now this is called as interplay, where two sections has an effect on each other and we have to decide under which section we need to deduct TDS. Now let us see in this case where the interplay occurs in 194J and 194S, where interplay occurs. Let's go one by one with an example. Let's assume that I as a chartered accountant provide a professional service to some person. Let's say for a person named as ABC. I as a chartered accountant provide a service, that is a professional service, to a person called ABC. Now that person makes me a payment through a banking channel, and now we are very clear here that the payment is made only in cash, so that we are very clear that only 194J has to be deducted, that is TDS under 194J has to be deducted. For example, let's assume 1 lakh is the payment. Now 194J, they will deduct 10% and they will make me a payment of 90%. Now the second scenario, the same 1 lakh rupees where 70,000 is made in cash and 30,000 the company transfers to me as a virtual digital asset. Now here comes a scenario of interplay. Now for how much amount on what payment should I deduct TDS? We are very clear that for 70,000 which is deducted, which is paid as a cash, TDS to be deducted under section 194J, so that they will deduct 7,000 and they will remit me remaining 63,000. Now for this 30,000, under which section TDS to be deducted, whether it has to be deducted under section 194J or under section 194S. Here comes the interplay. Now again, payment is made only in case of VDA, that is 1 lakh is again the professional service where they give me 1 lakh rupees worth of virtual digital asset. Now whether TDS to be deducted under 194J because it is something the payment is received for rendering a professional service, or the second one where I have given something in case of consideration that is not in cash or kind. As a service, I am giving a consideration to receive that VDA. Now, whether it will be deducted under 194, yes. We have to be very clear under which section the TDS has to be deducted. And again, now here the interplay comes. Okay. And the last and final scenario is where the payment is in case of cash and not in case of VDA but some other kind. Let's assume in case of a Rolex watch or some other kind. Now again, in which section TDS has to be deducted? 194J is fine for the remaining 30,000. These are some scenarios where interplay will occur. Now, when you have an interplay that when two sections have an overriding effect on each other, how will you decide? Now, let's see some ways how to decode it. The first one, get clear about the facts of the case. Okay, now what is the exact thing we are dealing with? How to divide it? Okay, what is the portion we have received in cash? What is the portion we have received in VDA? Get a clear idea about the facts of the case. The second one, after reading both the sections, try to apply the act as a whole. That's very important when you read any act. Okay, we read it section by section, but at the same time we have to make sure that we apply act as a whole rather than section by section. Try to apply both as an income tax act rather than applying it as section 194S and 194J. The third one which we can use is referring to some of the case laws, which will provide us a better clarity. And the last and very important one is the substance over form. Now, getting to know, always there is a given scenario in the act, but at all the cases we must try to explore a little of substance over form. What has exactly happened there and what's the thing that has happened there. So it's very important to get the substance over form. For easy understanding, I have given an example here. The first one, ABC Private Limited hires a technical expert for providing some technical service amounting to rupees 1 lakh. The payment was decided to be settled by means of VDA. So here the company has to pay 1 lakh. Now the person has rendered some service, and for that service they are settling the amount as a virtual digital asset. Now, under what category the TDS needs to be decided is a very important thing, because for technical expert, the TDS section is under 194J. But at the same time, we have 194S, as we have seen in the video, that is transfer TDS to be deducted for transfer of virtual digital asset. Now, the company transfers the virtual digital asset. Now, who has to deduct TDS and who has to remit it? Whether the TDS has to be deducted under section 194J or the TDS has to be deducted under section 194. Yes, this is the exact case of interplay here. We have to make sure that we get into the facts of the cases as a whole and we see the act as a whole, and last thing, as we saw, substance over form. Second example is ABC Private Limited hires a technical expert for providing some technical service. The same thing amounting to rupees 1 lakh. Payment amounting to rupees 50,000 is settled through banking channel, and remaining 50,000 is through a virtual digital asset, as we saw earlier. Now again, an important thing, half in case of cash, we are very clear where the amount paid in cash, TDS under section 194J to be deducted, and the second half, that is virtual digital asset, 50,000, TDS under which section has to be deducted. That's very important thing here. So now we have seen the interplay between section 194J and section 194S. The link for the PPT is available in the description below. Do have a look over the PPT. I thank BCAS for providing me an opportunity. If you like this video, please do share it and please do comment your comments, your feedback as your comments. Thank you.